Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted, as always, to be joined by Niall O'Connor. We have just seen Brandon Figueroa enjoy a successful return to the ring, stopping Jesse Magdaleno at the end of the ninth round with a fantastic body shot. He improved his record to 25 1-1, but not a fight of the year contender. Niall, give us your thoughts on it.
Yeah, we were just speaking here off camera. It was not how pretty much most of us expected it to go. I was excited for this one. I texted you before it started. I said I'm really looking forward to it. I'm a big Brandon Figueroa fan. Great to see him back. I think he's normally very exciting because he doesn't fight to his size dimensions at all, which makes him fascinating to watch. That sort of flaw in his game, but yeah, I just think it was too scrappy. Magdalena was there to kind of, he just spoiled a bit too much. But I don't know. Well, it wasn't great, but good to see Figueroa get the win with a good stoppage. Great body shot. Real sickening body shot. And yeah, on to the next for Figueroa.
Yeah, for sure. It's not what we were hoping to see. But looks not every fight is going to be a fantastic fight, is it? We've had one good fight tonight, and we've had one not so good fight. So we will see what happens. How I think just worth mentioning, Magdaleno came in overweight for this fight. I can't help but think he did come in overweight, and I'm not convinced he was really trying to win the fight. In my opinion, he just kind of, as you mentioned, was spoiling a lot, was holding quite a bit. I'm just not convinced he really came to win tonight. I think the main his main aim was to lose by points. I really do think that. How did you have it, Now, because some people had it fairly close. At the halfway point at the end of the eighth round, obviously the fight got stopped at the end of the ninth round. If Magdaleno had kind of managed to get up, then it would have been a 10-8 round in Brandon Figueroa's favor. How did you have it at the end of the eighth round?
I do. First of all, I do agree with what you said. I hate the fact that he came in overweight, and I do think his kind of priority was to kind of just spoil his way to a decision loss, really. But how did I have it? It's such an interesting question because I honestly couldn't score that fight. I gave up really trying to score it properly early. I just think the early rounds were too hard to score. But I think Figueroa did kind of pick it up from about round four onwards. You know, he kind of really took control and started breaking Magdaleno down. Magdaleno couldn't keep him off. Just the big shots were wearing him down slowly but surely. So, in terms of how I had it, maybe Figueroa 3 rounds up,
Okay.
maybe. At that stage, it was too hard to score early on to get a score on it. But I definitely had Figueroa ahead at that stage on his way to a fairly wide points win if that trajectory of the fight had have continued the way it did.
Yeah, for sure. I think you would be interested to see what the official scorecards were saying, but I would like to
Yeah,
think Figueroa was clearly ahead in all three of them.
yeah.
Moving on, Figueroa, former unified world champion, is the only man to defeat Luis Nery. Big punch, big puncher as well. Won the vast majority of his fights by stoppage. Um, the featherweight divisions is such a fantastic division, isn't it now? We've just seen that kind of draw between Ray Vargas and Nick Ball a couple months ago. We're seeing Ray Ford against Nick Ball very soon. Luis Alberto Lopez is a handful. We kind of know all about him on British and Irish shores. Of course, there's Rafael Espinosa as well, and Rob Ramirez. I'm not really sure what's happening if those guys are having a rematch or not. Can Brandon Figueroa become a world champion in the next few months? Really, this fight was for the WBC interim. Obviously, the champion is Ray Vargas, so don't know if Ray Vargas, Brandon Figueroa could happen next. I'm not sure, but where does he fit in? Because it's such a stacked division.
I absolutely do think he can be world champion. You hit the nail on the head there, and what you said in featherweight, it's one of the most exciting divisions going. and the thoughts of Brandon Figueroa in that mix with the world champions like Lopez, Ford, Vargas, Espinosa. It's just fascinating. So many really intriguing style matchups there. And I do think he can be a world champion. Like the WBC champion Ray Vargas, which is likely going to be his shot at a world title. I think Figueroa beats Vargas, to be honest. Um, the other champions, Espinosa, Ford. I'd probably pick Figueroa as well, but it's really close. They're really close fights. The only champion I'd bet against Figueroa would be Lopez. But again, it's so close, and the style clash is just so fascinating. So if we were to see kind of, I know Ray Ford is fighting Nick Ball, but if we were to see Figueroa against any of the other champions there, I'm really intrigued. It's one of the most kind of fascinating fights that could be in boxing in what is turning out to be probably one of, if not my favorite division, with just the different dynamics at the minute. I love how 126 is shaping up. I really do.
Yeah, no, there's look, there's some really kind of fantastic fights there. I think another name I feel like it's important not to forget is Kolmatov as well. Obviously, just
Yeah.
lost to Ford recently. I think he's a fantastic fighter as well. Just we'll sign off now. Just I want to ask you, what's if we're playing kind of fantasy boxing here and you're removing kind of all politics, what's the you clearly rate Brandon Figueroa very highly. What's the fight you want him to see in? Like whether it's for a belt or not, whether it's just based on kind of entertainment purposes as well. We mentioned Ray Vargas as well. That fight's is possibly going to happen next. You mentioned Luis Alberto Lopez is possibly the only guy you fancy him not to beat. Um, could be someone else, but yeah, what is the fight for you if you could see Figueroa face anyone next?
For me, it's Lopez. I was to and fro at featherweight between Espinosa and Lopez. Espinosa being like similar kind of dimensions, the tall, rangy, featherweight, big punching featherweights, but Lopez, I just think would be an absolute firefight. Lopez and Figueroa, it really would. I'd really love to see that and how the styles would gel. As I say, Figueroa, the fact that he doesn't fight to his size at all, he doesn't fight to his range. He likes to get inside and have a war. Lopez would sit inside on the inside, have a war. Two big punchers. Yeah, I think Brandon Figueroa and Luis Alberto Lopez for me is the fight. But of course, there's always the monster as well. That's coming up from 122, which is also an option. But at featherweight, yeah, it's Lopez for me.
Yeah, for sure. Look, I'd love to discuss that as a potential fight. We obviously have to see if Newey can get past Lewis Neary, which takes place in what just over 24 hours time. But yeah, that's a fight that I really hope we see in the future. But we shall see. Niall, good to speak to you. Not far away from the main event now, but I will speak to you again very soon. Thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot. Take care.